What's this in your back pocket? I just saw you walking it.
It's a navigational age. What's the problem? You a tyrant?
Yeah, I am actually. What's your name and date of birth?
I don't have to give that unless
Yes, sir. I was investigating.
You have reasonable.
Do you want me to put you in handcuffs right now? Yes, sir, I do.
What is your suspicion?
It looks like you're carrying a gun in your back pocket. I'm stopping to make sure you're carrying it properly. You don't
have you ensured that it's not a firearm?
No, you keep turning so I can't see it. You don't have to be a dick to me.
Well, you're being one to me.
No, sir, I'm doing my job.
Am I detained?
Yeah, you are. What's your name and date of birth?
It does not matter.
Yes, sir, it does.
Do you have a crime?
Would you like me
Call
to
your
put you in?
supervisor,
He's right
please.
here.
All right.
You don't.
Sir, what's the stop you for? For a walking stick.
So,
And it could look like a weapon. She asked you to present it, okay? Now she's asking me for ID. Okay. I don't need the ID unless there's reasonable articulated suspicion that I have committed a crime, am committing a crime, or about to do a crime. Sir, and her suspicion was that you were armed, okay? And she's asking you for your ID. Well, now she has verified that I am not armed. Okay. So there is no problem. You got your ID or not? Okay. All right, get his address.
77 Whiskey Mike detained. I don't know where his wallet is.
Where's your wallet at, sir? I don't have a wallet on me.
Okay, where's your ID?
Where's your ID at? Pocket. Which pocket? You are not allowed to search me.
It's in this pocket.
There you go.
Thank you.
I want your names and badge numbers.
1257 on Nick 65427.
Sir, you legally blind? Yes, I am.
So this is in Florida because it's got to be in Florida in an area we've talked about that's kind of like west of Jacksonville. So not in the Panhandle, but kind of Lake City area is what it's called. This is a disabled veteran. Okay. And he was returning from jury duty, James Hodges. So like the quintessential person that's like, why are you bothering me? And maybe somebody, a society we see has a right to be angry, right? Like, those are the kind of people that sometimes we're like, okay, yeah, we get,
especially,
we get that you're angry.
Let's say she thought it was a weapon, which I would consider myself a firearms enthusiast.
Yeah, but sometimes you see things wrong.
Oh, and I agree.
You see things wrong.
She thinks it's a weapon, which I'm going to pretend is possible. She gets up to him. He pulls it out and shows her it's a walking stick, which I initially thought, because he's walking without it, that it was just the kind you'd use when you're hiking, you know, but apparently it's the blind kind, whatever. You know, at that point, it's not a weapon. All right, see ya. Thanks. Appreciate you showing me. Fuck off. Like, what then? Why are we still here?
I don't know.
And I love that. Are you a tyrant? Yeah, I am. You are. You are. At least you know that you said it out loud.
That's the funny part. We'll have to clip that, chat.
Spam L in the chat for the cops.
I'm trying to see how much he got.
Good. I hope it was a lot.
There's no real news on it that I've seen.
I mean, he got arrested. That means he had to squat and cough.
But we want
for no reason.
We want to be clear. The U.S. Supreme Court says you don't have to identify yourself unless they're reasonable suspicion of a crime.
And he even said the right words. Reasonable, articulable suspicion.
Right. So, and even carrying a gun isn't a crime. And that's what she said. I want to make sure you're carrying it right.
Carrying it properly.
You can say, all right, well, screw off, see ya.
What does that mean? Properly, it's a constitutional carry state. It was exposed. Meaning, I can have it in my back pocket, I can have it in my front pocket, I can have it in my little bitty tiny pocket.
But
it's still mine.
A cop can approach you and say, hey, you know, the way you're holding that is wrong, and that person is right to say, F you, I'm leaving, and walk away, right?
Oh.
So if he has it just in his back pocket where, let's say she suspects
unsafe.
that's
unsafe.
That's not a safe place to have it because the trigger's not, you know, guarded in any way. You could have accidental discharge, you know, in your back pants. And that would not be good. So she can go up and talk to him.
Sure.
Like approach and
he can tell her to leave him alone and I'm not stopping.
Not detain him. Right. No. For that. And then upon finding out that
she was wrong,
not even a gun, but it's a walking stick that he pulls out very, like if she's actually fearful, it's a gun. He pulls it out real quick.
He turns
to
it
put
sideways,
it in her face.
though. I mean, the way he did it was fast. So.
I know, but like,
no, for sure.
I wouldn't do it like that. I'd reach slowly, and
I'd
calmly.
probably turn and just show it to her. Be like, "Do you see that? Does that look like a gun to you? No, it's a walking stick. Stupid."
Did you argue too much?
No.
Did he argue too much? Is Austin's question, which I don't think he did too much.
He might have been. His tone was not great.
His tone was very negative.
But that's just like human to human conflict resolution. But at the same time, my tone would be worse, and I would be using a lot more profanity.
See, here's the issue though that you run into when he has a subsequent civil case. Does he seem like a jerk for that civil case?
I don't think so.
Not to you, but you're an angrier than average individual who talks with a meaner than average tone.
The fuck you say?
It's true.
It's
just true. Like
I'm even peach colored, bro.
That's just objectively true.
When you get mad.
But he has those factors. He's coming from jury duty, and he's a Navy veteran,
and he's blind,
and he's legally blind. But he's not using it at the time.
That's the weird part.
That's one of those things the defense attorneys, why weren't you using the stick at the time then? If you're legally blind, are you abusing the system by
let's see.
being categrized as legally blind?
What was I using? My foot car. Because I can't drive. Because I'm blind. Maybe shut the fuck up.
And cops want you to ID yourselves. And when you're walking on the street, you don't have to have an ID. You don't have to have an ID.
He didn't have a wallet. He had all the stuff in his front pocket.
Yeah, he did have.
He was literally coming from performing the only kind of constitutional service that is mandated except for the draft.
And that people hate too. Like that
nobody likes
hate
to do.
That's.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
I want to.
Yes.
I will never get to do one probably.
And we'll get into, we have a case about Batson that we'll talk about.
Sure.
Jury duty really soon. I don't think we have enough time to delve into that.
There's not enough time in the day.
Yes, completely. But the conversation there was just preposterous. Like we were talking to another defense attorney recently about how long the training is for police officers to know constitutional rights. And they get trained for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then they get sent off with a gun, and to unleash
I got trained
that
for 2 years.
To unleash that on
a
you got $1 million?
Fuck
you found somewhere?
I love that.
Well, let's link that article too.
Yeah. And I got trained by Professor Anand, who was very knowledgeable, but man, he was a sinister motherfucker.
That's just to say we graduate college, which I learned nothing about due process rights or First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, anything in my undergrad.
Do wheelies.
Law school trains you how to know what the laws mean, the laws mean, and importantly, the case law. So we study that for years, and we never stop studying it.
And how to analyze facts to law.
Yes.
And each one of those stupid cases that you read is like a really weird fact pattern to illustrate a very, very small outer edge of these fact patterns that are like super weird and seem to kind of stretch the rule, but they somehow apply. Most of it is down the middle.
But this is like one of those that you should just know. Like
that's down the middle.
No reasonable suspicion. Let him go.
Well, up to that point, and I'm going to again say that I will defer that she saw what she thought she saw.
Sure.
Even though I don't believe
that it's not a pretext. Yeah.
But I'm going to pretend that it's true for this purpose. Once, before he even turned, when she was walking up to him in the body cam, you can see it's not a fucking gun. It looked like tent poles at first. Because they're folded.
It does fold like a tent pole.
Which is not a firearm.
No, as far as I know.
I mean, maybe you could have a pen gun, but that's not what she said.
She
didn't say, I think you have
a
pen gun. She says, I think you have a firearm.
I'm going to believe her that she did think it was a firearm because why else approach him,
Maybe she's bored. How big's that town?
It's not a big town.
Yeah. No, so she probably was just looking to be a dick to a scruffy old guy. She found a guy with kind of the dual goatee with his little do-rag or whatever he was wearing. Was like, hey, I feel like being an asshole to that guy.